Hey, welcome to Keight's Crafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you this fall-inspired card that I found to be quite the struggle to put together. Let's get started. Off camera, I've gone ahead and cut all the pieces that I'm going to need for this card. I'm using some Honeybee Stamps Halloween Harvest 6x6 paper, as well as some Fall Fling 6x6 paper by Fawn. Here I have a pile of leaves that I have stamped, cut, and colored with Prismacolor pencils. I'll be sure to leave a list of all the colored pencils, names, and numbers that I've used in the description box below, as this was kind of a learning curve for me. It's been a very long time since I've actually sat down and colored with colored pencils, to a degree where I needed to shade. It was never something that I ever sat down and did, whereas crayons and markers are another thing for me. Anyway, I'm just going through the motions of all the colors that I used for the leaves, and I'm going over this, I think it's a white textured linen cardstock. I found it at the dollar store. A friend of mine, another crafty friend of mine I should say, had found it at her local Dollarama, and she had mentioned it to me to keep my eye out. So I'd gone to one of the dollar stores and I'd actually come across it and bought a couple of packs of different colors of it. And it's quite neat because when you color over it lightly like this with colored pencil, it picks up the texture of the paper as if it were an actual canvas. And that's one of the reasons why I chose it. So I just go back and forth with all the different colors that I used in the leaves, and I eventually get to where I'm going to blend it all out with a paper towel. But that's not until later. Anyway, the reason why I said this card was a bit of a struggle in the beginning of the video, because, well, it was. I had already made 2 other cards prior to this, on this very evening that I made this card, in hopes to use all of these stupid leaves that I had already colored. Now, back when I had gone camping, I had also stamped and colored a whole bunch of other leaves, but forgot to write down all the different colors that I used. So it was kind of hard recreating what I had already created, but hadn't written it down. But, I don't know, the other 2 cards that I made, I had full intent on using these damn leaves, but they didn't come to fruition. The card ended up telling me exactly how it was going to be made, albeit without the dumb leaves. So, I finally sat down and forced myself to use these leaves, and you'll see later on what I mean. So to save a little time here, I've gone ahead and cut out some of the coloring. You kind of get the point. If you'd like to try to recreate this, I will leave the colors all in the description box below, because I did write them down this time. Anyway, I'm just taking a piece of paper towel here that I had a scrap of, and I'm just going over the bits that I colored, careful to switch out for a clean one when I go into the greens and the yellows, and just softening up the color of the canvas. I didn't want it to be stark white, however, come to think of it, it probably would have been better had I left it white. But I wasn't seeing the greater picture when I was creating this, because I was kind of forcing myself into submission. So once I'm happy with all the placement, I will go ahead and attempt to glue all of these down to my canvas. So back and forth I go with the glue and matting them all down. I'm going to set this off to the side and put a stamping block on it and move on to the next bit here, where I've already gone ahead and added some leaves to the background and to the front. So I'm just going to snip off. You'll have to excuse me, my allergies are running rampant on me right now. But I've snipped off around the edges, and I'm going to put that towards the easel. But before I can get any further, I probably should glue the rest of this stuff down. So I've kind of got an idea on how I want stuff, but it takes on another path. I really struggled with this. It was kind of one of those cards that ended up being super busy, and it was just kind of a bit too much, and you'll see. You'll see. So I'm going over this again with some tape runner, then I think, oh wait, I should put some foam tape on it to give it a little more dimension, because it's got a lot going on. So I'm just going to strip out some of this double-sided foam adhesive to be able to put on the back, and I'm just measuring it out because this is how I work. And then once I've got all that done, I will lay it all down on the back side. But I realized that I also have those little leaves hanging over, and I don't want them to miss out on all the fun. So here I'm taking a piece of double-sided tape, and I had this scrap piece of sticker paper, the shiny side, if you know what I mean. And I find that if I put my double-sided adhesive to it, it's a lot easier to cut into strips, like thinner strips and smaller bits. And I don't normally have this sort of scrap on my desk because I don't buy a lot of stickers anymore. But I had this one from the backside of, I think, a magnet sheet that I had taken apart for one of my dies. So anyway, after I've peeled off all of the release tape to the back of my panel, I am just going to add some extra glue to make sure that everything is all nice and cozy and stuck. So once that's done, I'll stand above, excuse my fingers, and I will place this down as center as possible. So once that is done, I'm going to go in with some of my leaves. Oh, no, not yet, I lied. So I'm going to take that same sticker backing paper, and I'm going to go over my art easel here with some double-sided tape runner. This is the Scrapbook Easy Runner tape, which I really like this brand. I've bought quite a bit of it over the time that I've been using it, and I found that I haven't really liked anyone else. So I'm just taking a W9 marker here and creating a little bit of shadow at the bottom of the easel. I don't know whether or not you'll notice it or not, because the gray cardstock is dark gray, and it's a bit of a textured cardstock, and the piece is so thin that, I don't know, I just thought I would add it in. Whether or not you can see it is neither here nor there. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and now I think, no, I'll add some more tape, and then I'll just tape it down, which I probably should have waited. I really should have waited to tape this down, but again, this was my plight, my struggle. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing. It was like, ooh, I think I want to kind of use these bits, so we'll use these bits. And we'll see where it goes. So, I could have stopped here. I really probably should have stopped here. You know, maybe put a little bit of leaves in the corner and left it as is. But no. I decide to go all willy-nilly with my hands in the air, putting leaves around like I just don't care. Which, yeah, that's basically what happened. I was throwing leaves everywhere, like I was in a whirlwind of a pile of leaves, and I thought I'd use up most of the rest of these leaves and put them around the corners here. And then I had some leftover leaves, which I ended up tucking some of them underneath the little easel here, as you'll see in a second, because, you know, that spot was a little bare, and it needed some leaves as well. So once I've tucked all that stuff in and I am good to go, I will see here, I need some leaves at the bottom because you could never have enough leaves. And that's exactly what I did. So again, with the glue and the leaves, you get the point. It's a leafy kind of card. And I don't know, I think at this point it was kind of like go big or go home. You know, I've put so much on this card. I've put so much time into this card. I've scratched my head over this card so many times. And once I got to this point, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to take these leaves and I'll put them on the inside of the card, because I don't know what else to do. So I'll line these guys up, and then I'll grab some low-tack tape that I had hanging around, and I'll pick those up, and then I'll be able to glue them all down just like that. I don't know, I found this method to be quite easy and quickly. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the back side, making sure not to touch anything, stand above, make sure everything's lined up the best that I can. Probably could have lined that up better on my grid mat, but you know what? At this point, it was kind of like, what have I done? What have I done? I honestly don't know what I have done. Have I created a monster? I may have. Have I created a mess? Oh, definitely. So this is about the point where I put the card down, and I walk away, and I do some chores. And then I come back, look at it, walk away, do some more chores, even talk to a crafty friend of mine for her opinion. She suggested vellum. I tried vellum, to no success, because I was not patient. If I had been patient, maybe it would have worked. But then I thought, I've got a bunch of these Henry's ABCs and a bunch of critters that I've already colored. Even though the critter isn't colored in colored pencil, it's Copic marker, and I have no idea what colors I used. Maybe some warm grays, maybe some E-markers, I'm not sure. I colored it a long time ago, let's just say that. So, what I'm doing here is I am going to trim down this little hello that I'd had in my stash, and I'm going to put it at the top. And then I decided, well, autumn wouldn't fit on my little canvas, so I decided to go with the word fall, which most of these leaves just happen to fall on my card. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to take my little reverse tweezers and put that on top of the canvas, and then I will line these guys up. I think to grab my T-square ruler, make sure that's all lined up, and then I'll just kind of pull everybody down a little bit here, just so it doesn't look too haphazardly, because all of the leaves, yes, all of the leaves are haphazardly thrown on my card, like I sneezed a bunch of leaves. So again, with the low-tack tape, I'm going to pick up those letters, and then that way I can glue them. But like the hello, which I forgot to mention, I'm going to add some double-sided tape. I think this is like an 1/8 of an inch tape, and it's just that Be Creative tape. I've kind of lost the middle to it, so I gotta be careful when I'm using it that I don't squish it and kind of put it all to sorts. So I've cut out a strip here so I don't ruin the rest of the tape, and I'm just cutting off little tiny bits to go off the fat sides of the letters, because there's a lot of different texture and layers on the canvas of the card that I was worried that the glue just would not cut it. So here I'm just adding that to the letters, just so I can make sure that everything will be stuck down fine. And I do go back in with some glue, just to double glue everything, I guess. Yeah, to double glue everything, I guess. So I'm going to peel off the release tape. Hopefully it doesn't stick too badly to my fingers. And then I shall add a little bit of glue, because you could never have too much adhesive on a busy card. So once I'm done with that, I will turn it around, flip it over, line it up the best that I possibly can, and then boom, we have fall on our canvas. So very carefully I'm going to peel that off, and then all that's left to do is to take my little squirrel and add a little bit of glue. But not until I put a little glue there, because it was kind of coming up. And I blame the leaves. So I'm going to take a little bit of the tape runner that I have here and kind of put a little bit there. And then I'll add some glue, just so it's double stuck. Not like an Oreo, that's double stuffed. This is double stuck. And I'm going to have them looking up at fall. So there was my struggle, that was my plight. I pushed myself to do something I didn't think I could do, and in the end I actually liked what I made, instead of hating it. So if you've enjoyed today's content, or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.